for this group. I think actually my conversation about the double in-game leaders, I have to ask you a question. You know Carrigan?
Yeah.
You know that fella?
Sure.
You know how he's doing the mouse sports thing? That's exciting.
Yeah.
But do you know how he's got this kind of notoriety for struggling to make calls under high-pressure scenarios? Do you not think that double in-game leader kind of solves that problem to an extent? You have that fallback of going, okay, I've genuinely got no ideas. Snappy, take the reins.
It could add indecision, especially in certain scenarios. If one of them is overstepping the other, there has to be like a certain clear rank, right? Because what can happen is if there's too many voices, obviously frustration is something which can creep on in. I understand what you're talking about, and Carrigan we're talking about within grand finals. We're talking about him within the highest pressure
I'm talking about
situation.
Contingency plans.
Yeah, but the thing is, you can still have that when you look at that team. Chris Jace there, right? So Carrigan has his sidekick, whereas this team right here we have on the screen of North. They have very experienced players, and I think maybe Volder would be a good guy to turn to if you are Katie and go, hey, mate, what are we feeling? Because he seems to be someone who is everywhere and has a good mind for the game. So everybody generally tends to have like a second in charge, a 2IC. There's somebody who might take over mid-round calling depending on the positions they play within defaults. There's so many different bits and pieces like that that contribute to helping the in-game leader. And now that teams are more structured and the coach is there, they can establish a lot more contingency plans before they even get in the server.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think that there's no doubt that there is a rigid structure applied to both of these teams. Of course, a changing coaching staff as well for North. And we're going to be seeing how that does expand as the year goes on. 2019 still in its fledgling stages, and I want to see more from North. I think we want to see more from both of them, to be honest. Optic's yet to convince Chad, and perhaps they'll be able to do it on Nuke, because that is where we're headed next. In fact, we're going to be headed over to the casters in just a moment. First, Chad, money where your mouth is. North take this?
I think North take this one with ease.
With ease, no less. More of a train than an overpass.
I just think the fact that there hasn't been enough time for Optic to prepare a deep map pool, here just means that this is one that North, they have relatively high in their stead.
And they got thrown into the deep end. You come into the ESL Pro League and you've got to complete 3. That's right, it's a best of 3 every single time in a LAN environment. It doesn't get much more competitive than that, and competition is on the horizon. We're jumping into it. Optic versus North, the last map. The league starts and ends on Nuke.
Thank you very much, Alex. Yes, the final map, this Danish destruction. And, well, which Dane will be destructed, Harry? That's the question we have in our minds right now. North currently bouncing back to a 1-1 and bringing us to a map that definitely is going to favour the longest standing roster, but Optic have certainly surprised us today, so I don't think it's out of the realms of possibility that they could take this.
Yeah, and one of the things that Chad and Alex touched on over on the desk that I found really interesting was having 2 IGLs can leave you in that situation, right, where it's like too many cooks spoil the pot, right? Is the old saying. Like you can have someone overshadowing, you can be a bit indecisive, and on a